All right, we are here with Stephen. I think a lot of people know you as Guido, founder of Tokeo Labs, and I'm excited to ask a few questions to you today. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I answer to both, by the way, Stephen or Guido, but yeah, I do get both. But yeah, I'm really well, man, and happy to be here. We're very excited to see what you guys are doing, and I think it's a really interesting concept, and we're really happy to be involved.
Yeah, so I mean, to warm up the kind of talking muscles here, can you start by just telling me about why are you guys building on Cardano? What brought you to Cardano, and how has it been since you've been here?
Look, I think like a lot of people that are in the Cardano ecosystem, the base level technology um, is probably one of the key drivers. I still believe it's the best in the world. Now and also the community. We're now seeing with further decentralization that it really is what I like to call the people's chain, and I really respect that. It also is a community over here of builders. You know, I honestly believe that Cardano is building a new world. And in terms of infrastructure, particularly for IRL products, I see that as a real advancement for where Cardano is going. And we certainly want to be at the forefront of that. So that's something that's pretty exciting to us.
Yeah, I mean, I resonate with what you're saying in terms of like Cardano being this blockchain. So we all love blockchain because it creates a new type of database where it's not controlled by a singular entity like Google or the government or anything. Rather, there's nodes all around the world, and Cardano is the most decentralized. And Cardano has that technical foundation you brought up as well. And then I love the point you made about the community of builders and
Yep,
how no matter what country in the world, there's someone trying to build a product that's going to change the world on
for sure,
Cardano,
for
and
sure.
it's a really special thing. Um, so tell me more about Tokyo. What do you guys do? And yeah,
Well, look. Essentially, some people would call us a wallet. We're so kind of, I suppose, in our minds and a lot of other people's, we're so far from that. Um, we really looked at the mobile experience, crypto wide, and we also looked at cross-chain sort of interoperability between wallets. When I got into crypto in 2021, I think it was, you had wallets like MetaMask, for example, which had send and receive capability and transaction history. In fact, I think MetaMask still has that.
yeah.
I think,
I saw something on Twitter recently where it was like they
yeah,
announced that they're going to have multi-address transactions, and Cardano's
yeah,
always
yeah.
had that. Yeah.
Yeah. So we thought that there was a really long way to go with that. We also, are really, I think, at the forefront in terms of Cardano. We've always known and loved Cardano, but we're firm believers in interoperability between chains. So Tokyo has started obviously on Cardano, and we chose to build our products natively on Apple and Android. So we we're pretty nerdy when it comes to performance. I think you'd notice with the Tokyo UX, it's arguably the best UX, not only on Cardano but in crypto in general from a wallet, and we're really proud of that. So we really saw Tokyo as an opportunity to build on Cardano. We gathered a really strong and loyal community here. But we see ourselves at the forefront of introducing new users into Cardano. We were the first wallet from Cardano to I suppose, certainly mobile wallet to launch on Bitcoin and Cardano simultaneously. So we've had the Bitcoin wallet live for some time. Our runes and ordinals trading goes live next week. And we are really close to launching our Sui wallet as well. And we're working with a range of different bridging partners at the same time. What that creates for Cardano is, Cardano is often seen as a ghost chain, which I hate it when people say that, but it is often seen as that. And, we feel that, Tokyo is a really great opportunity to introduce new users from other ecosystems into the Cardano ecosystem and drive that kind of user base and liquidity through creating easier access and interoperability.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I see the same things in the sense of like Cardano, the potential of the Cardano and Bitcoin compatibility, and you guys are at the forefront of that in terms of having other ecosystems be able to interact with the bedrock that is Cardano. It's so powerful. And just to comment on the UI UX thing, if you guys are, you know, trading Cardano native assets, buying native assets, you definitely have to check out the Tokeo wallet if you haven't. It's really a great mobile experience. You get, you know, there's confetti, there's all these sorts of, you know, UI UX things that really set it above. So talk to me about the big vision of Tokyo. Where do you guys want to take it to, and what do you think it has the potential to be?
Look, we really see Tokyo as having the ability to really aid mass adoption. You know, getting into crypto can be complicated. Those first few transactions are critical in people's journeys. You know, you can set up a Tokyo wallet in from the time you download it. It's actually in your phone. You can set up a wallet in under 3 seconds. We're also introducing, you know, we have on and off ramping through Mercurio and Coinbase, which means that you can easily fund your wallet. We've got backup challenges, which see you, you know, be forced to, you know, deal with your keys and your seed phrase. We see ourselves as educating new users coming into crypto, and new users benefits, you know, not just Cardano, but crypto in general. So we see ourselves at the forefront of that. We have a bunch of IRL partnerships that we're rolling out at the moment. For example, you know, the Tokyo credit card is rolling out at the moment, or MasterCard is rolling out at the moment. You know, as I mentioned, those are all just things about sort of mass adoption. So I suppose that we're also cooking some pretty interesting things around education as well. So I suppose educating those new users, and you know, we feel like AI's got a part to play in that. So we've got some features rolling into the wallet as well, which are going to guide people through that early experience. So look, I think they're the things that we're working on. From a Cardano ecosystem point of view, we just want to keep innovating. A lot of things that we've done at Tokyo, like, you know, really clever staking through the wallet. You know, I think that we publish every stake pool. Apart from just, you know, from publishing stake pools, we provide guidance on that, how that works. We show the performance and graphically show the performance of every epoch, for example. So I think it is really accentuating those features that are inside Cardano, and making them easy for people to use.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the three words that stuck out to me as you talked about the, you know, what Tokyo wants to do, it's aid mass adoption. And in order to do that, you need to have that experience where you download an app, you are in there in 3 seconds, and you can explore the new internet, the world of Web3.
Yeah.
Really excited about that, and also just the Coinbase integration. When I saw that, I thought that was really cool as well. And so I think let's take a step back from Tokyo and talk a little bit about Cardano from a higher level here. I would love to get your thoughts on the transition to decentralized governance and kind of the challenges the community has at hand, and how you're experiencing it right now.
Look, I feel like the community has been asking this for a long time. You know, there was a lot of conjecture from community members in relation to Catalyst and how that rolled out. You know, we founded DropSpot, which was, you know, arguably one of the best technically advanced NFT platforms, and you know, we funded that ourselves, and you know, with the help of some investors, and you know, put a lot of time and effort into that business, and you know, we just couldn't get off the ground with Catalyst, you know, and we really struggled to kind of to get that done. So that, you know, that has always been a challenge for a lot of projects. It seemed like in a lot of cases the same projects won Catalyst over and over and over again. And I'm not critical of Catalyst. I think it has obviously, you know, a real place in the community, and it is a funding mechanism that has really assisted some businesses to grow. But putting that, putting a DREP layer in and having those DREPs, I suppose, sponsor and support communities, I think is an amazing step. I think having the governance in a more decentralized fashion than largely being run by a single entity is true. Sorry about that. Having governance run by the community is a massive step. I don't think that's ever really been done before in crypto. So it's going to be very interesting. We've obviously, I think I heard the other day that there is going to be another catalyst launching in May. And this will be the first one, which is obviously being run by by Intersect and in turn the DREPs, and having that voting mechanism in place. So I feel like it's going to level the playing field out for projects that aren't as well established as well, and have true community support, other than the same projects winning again and again and again.
Yeah,
it's kind of what I feel. So I don't know if you feel like that, but
I think it
levels the playing field a bit, and I think that's good for everyone.
Yeah, I think that you're completely right. And I think that as we transition into this kind of Voltaire era where we have decentralized governance, it becomes very important to make sure that, Catalyst is not a jack of all trades and a master of none. If Catalyst is meant to feed the innovation, fund ideas, fund community initiatives, should focus on that. And then you can have those getting funded and have other types of funding mechanisms for projects that have gotten Catalyst funding and closed out proposals. And then they can have if they have a product that's producing KPIs, then they can get funding in a new way. And that's a great segue into the Builder DAO. Before we get into this topic, I'm going to play 10 to 15 seconds of a visual. And then I'm going to talk about the visual a little bit in context of the Cardano ecosystem. And then we're going to talk about the Cardano Builder DAO. So here's the visual. So there's the visual, and what you see on the left side is a funnel. There's a top layer of the funnel that's purple. There's a middle layer that's green, and there's a bottom layer that's pink. So when I think of the Cardano ecosystem, I think the top layer is where the ideas are flowing in, right? The ideas flow in, and I think this is what Catalyst serves. It's those early stage ideas. Maybe it's a few new features for things. Maybe it's community initiatives. And Catalyst gets to be kind of that innovation hub. And then you have that next rung where the ideas start to formulate a little more and they become products. And they get really, really, and these products are built on top of the bottom layer, which is the infrastructure. So with this decentralized funding mechanism and this treasury unlocked, we have to fund all parts of that funnel. We can't just focus on one. So this is why we're here today to talk about the Cardano Builder DAO, because that's what the Cardano Builder DAO is for. It is a purpose-built funding mechanism governed by smart contracts that gives funding to builders that have products, that produce transactions, that onboard users, that increase the TVL, things that bring benefit to the whole ecosystem. So my question to you, and we'll talk about this for a bit here, is what's your perspective on kind of the emergence of the Cardano Builder DAO? How'd you hear about it? Just be openly and candid and honest. I think the thing about the Cardano Builder DAO is that is paramount for us. We want it to be transparent. We don't want it to be another, let's say a 3UTXO, that type of thing. This is truly a community built initiative that's by builders for builders. So what's your perspective on it?
I think it's an amazing initiative, and I'll probably go back to the graphic which you've just detailed there. And it feeds into what I just spoke about in relation to Catalyst. I really think that the place of Catalyst is for new innovation, and that is the top of the funnel piece. And I like to think about, again, I told you that when we had the Dropspot NFT marketplace, we built a really great product which was self-funded, and We had to find private investment, which is incredibly difficult to do. And you know, I'd really love to see Catalyst in that place of, you know, of funding continued innovation. So whether that is, and that might be a new project altogether, or a new or you know, a new product that an established project is working on, for example. So I think those things are very important. On the second layer down of the funnel, as you were sort of illustrating there are builders within the ecosystem, and if you look at the Cardano Builder DAO, you know, you've got some of the best projects in Cardano on there. You know, I just heard before that you guys had signed Igon. You know, we love the guys from Igon. They're an investment from the Tokyo Treasury. You know, you've got Zerberus in there. You've got Endmaker in there. Patrick's obviously, you know, a very well-known figure, and he's constantly innovating. The stuff that he's doing with around Japan is amazing. You know, you've got. I noticed that there are some other, you know, Vespa's in there, obviously a competitor of Tokyo, but again, someone who's been incredibly important for the ecosystem. Those guys need ongoing support too, given the market conditions, and that might not mean that businesses are, you know, are innovating something which is brand new. It might mean that we need funding as well to continue to keep going, particularly when you consider the economic climate at the moment.
Yes.
You know, we have seen, you know, significant declines in the value of ADA. We keep our stack in ADA as well. So we've seen, you know, that kind of decimated due to the current global, you know, financial conditions. You know, for builders that are established, and this is my kind of view of the Builder DAO, you know, I think, yeah, sure, we need to deliver on some KPIs, but going through the rigor that's involved in that new stage of Catalyst, which I think needs that rigor, and I think needs those really carefully crafted milestones. But for builders who are respected, established, have delivered products into the ecosystem, I think there needs to be a place for them too. And I think that is absolutely where the Builder DAO fits in. And I think it's where you're saying, well, you know, these guys are, you know, known and respected innovators within the Cardano space. These are the projects that are pushing each other. And, you know, I mentioned Vespa before. You know, there's a lot of wallets on Cardano, and the best wallets that are in that product, which would probably be us and Vespa in that product range, you know, maybe Eternal, you know, which is I suppose the legacy platform. But it's our job to push each other to continue to innovate. Now we do that. Now, if you look at, you know, some of the other projects that are within that, you know, some of the deep in projects, right? They are constantly pushing each other. You know, we are established and credible builders, and I think this is a mechanism to support those projects as well. In something that doesn't have as much, you know, is saying, look, let's fund these projects. Let's make sure they deliver on some key milestones, like I'm meaning some KPIs, and they're going to hit something, but we respect them enough to support those guys as well. And this is a funding mechanism for those businesses.
Absolutely. I think a few key points is the Cardano Builder DAO is trying to complement other funding structures in the Cardano ecosystem. So on one hand, you've got the core infrastructure contracts that Intersect is overseeing, and then you have the innovation that Catalyst is funding. And I also think the partnerships category is really valuable within Catalyst as well. And then you have Cardano Builder DAO, which actually interfaces with the Catalyst directly, because in order to be a requesting member of the Cardano Builder DAO, you have to have a closed out Catalyst proposal. So what the Cardano Builder DAO is trying to leverage the community approval that comes with getting Catalyst, because it is a big deal. It's not easy to do. You know, the community has to know you. The community has to trust you. That's when they vote you in. Then you get that stamp of approval to be able to request from the Builder DAO once you actually close out a proposal. So I think that's really exciting. And then the other part is the method of funding. You know, for those new ideas, for those you know, at the bleeding edge of things that go into Catalyst, having milestones is good. It protects the treasury, it protects the funds. But once you become a trusted builder, the idea is that you are constantly tracking certain KPIs, and you need to check in every 6 months. So it's a semi-annual schedule, which I think is very builder-centric and beneficial for builders to have that certainty to just go at it every day. You know, let the cooks cook. That's what we're trying to do with the Cardano Builder DAO. That's all I really had for today. Do you have any closing thoughts? Anything else you want to mention?
Uh, Nothing, but I concur with what you said. You know, having the ability for projects to establish projects, to have a method of funding as well, and you know, supporting respective builders. You know, we commend what you guys are doing. We're glad to be part of it, and we're happy to be sitting amongst such valued peers.
Yeah.
You know, as the projects are on there, and it's been amazing that you know, and it's very interesting. You know, I obviously you know, listeners or viewers today can't see the chat that is, you know, that the Telegram group, which is a builder DAO group, but you know, you've got some great minds in there working together, and the ethos that's occurring inside that chat is that, you know, we're all working to provide innovation, advancement. You know, how do we drive Cardano forward? All those projects are doing that, and you know, I really hope that you know, that's respected, and that, you know, we get the support that's needed.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think it's going to be great for the ecosystem. The collaboration within that group chat, I think is going to be big. And like you're saying, like Vesper's in there, other wallets can be in there. These competitions where everyone's trying to innovate, it really will push the ecosystem forward. And at the end of the day, if we don't have wallets that can easily onboard users, if we don't have DeFi protocols that people actually use, if we don't have governance tooling that's bringing people into the ecosystem, transactions aren't going to happen on chain. And in order for us to have good staking rewards, in order for us to make sure that the treasury is being topped up every year, we have to continue to increase transactions on the blockchain. And at the end of the day, that is the goal of Cardano Builder DAO. I want to thank you, everybody, for listening. We will chat with you guys soon.
Thanks.